Yeah, man, I'm here for this. What is this? A sort of
Holy
white
crap.
supremacist like meeting or something? What are we going to do?
Oh yes, this is definitely a white
You're in
supremacist.
trouble now, Boogie. You're in trouble now. So
Oh my God, is it Boogie?
Yeah.
Boogie, what's up?
Hey, man, what's
Oh my
up, John?
God, is this really happening? Are me and you really on a Sargon live stream talking about white? Fucking
Well,
You were about to say white genocide then, weren't you?
white
wanted-
genocide?
Holy
The
shit!
guys over
What
at
the fuck is
Neo.
going on?
I wanted to see if the guys over there at NeoGaf could just
Excuse
blow
me,
their
guys,
fucking brains
Phillip
out
DeFranco
today.
has just joined as well.
Who?
Phillip
Phillip.
DeFranco.
Hey,
Serious?
Philly D, what's up, man?
Oh my God, is this going down?
It's not really me. This is fake news, you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, what's up?
Yeah.
Hey, Philly D, I've watched your shit since since 2007 or 6. What's up, man?
Thank you, man. I've been watching you since I saw you in Garbage with Ethan.
That's good to know. Lots of garbage produced. Much garbage.
By the way, to everyone watching, keep tweeting out under the hashtag PewDiePie's. Just keep doing it because it might actually get trending. I'm banned from Twitter. I can't. So just do it for me if you can.
Did you really get banned from Twitter?
Something right
Yeah.
when you're banned from the Qatari sponsored social media.
Okay, so right, okay. Since you guys are here, I guess we'll do it in order of appearance, if that's all right. Boogie, what do you make of this whole drama with PewDiePie?
All right, like here's the thing, man. I grew up on shock humor. I love shock humor. Like, you know, I mean, like obviously like stuff like the greats like Carlin and stuff, but I grew up on like Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy, and I grew up on like Sam Kinison and stuff like that. I love shock humor. I think it's the funniest stuff in the world. I personally choose not to do it on YouTube for two reasons. Number one, I know that it can be harmful to myself, and I feel like some people feel it can be harmful to them. I don't want to hurt anybody, you know, so I don't push the envelope. I'm as white bread as it comes to YouTube, right? But I don't think it's ever wrong to do that. And I love people who do it. I love when Felix does it. I love it when iDubbbz does it. I love it when Filthy Frank does it. I love that kind of content. I watch it every day. It's the stuff that I primarily watch. I love shock humor. I see no real harm in it. I don't really understand what the harm is supposed to be, because in context, this stuff, you know, even in the joke that he got the worst trouble for, which is the holding up the sign that says "Death to all Jews," you know, then subscribe to Keemstar. Even in that joke, the context of the joke is how terrible that phrase is. The context of the joke is how awful that is.
Context is everything. It matters more than anything.
But
People
that
also forget that like the racist joke is a joke. It's a self-deprecating joke.
right.
It's to say I'm such a scummy person as to think that's funny.
Right.
That's a joke at my own expense if I laugh at a racist joke or make
Right, exactly. Now, at the same time, though, I will say, and obviously I didn't even know about this until I saw your episode on this issue, DeFranco, but I saw, now that I know that white supremacists are like cheering that on, and, you know, they're saying, oh, this kind of normalizes our thoughts and recruit. You know, here's the thing. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think anybody with a brain looks at that joke and says, wow, that's terrible and disgusting and awful. Nobody thinks, oh, that's okay then. Unless you already think that, and then you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly the point.
The thing about edgy jokes that are slightly racist, is that they have a certain degree of truth to them. It's why we consider them to be funny.
They're against
Right.
political correctness. That's the problem. It
There's-
means that it's okay for people to make other jokes like that.
I've said
grew
this
up-
joke a couple of times. It's, as a German, you can travel everywhere around the world, and everyone will look at you weirdly. Like in France, people will look at you weirdly. Brits will look at you weirdly. But when you go to a Muslim country, people will, hey, Germans, welcome, Germans. And when you ask them why, they will say, oh, we like what you did to the Jews. It's true to a certain degree. There's a degree of truth in it.
I will tell you a story here, and I'll try to make it brief because I know a lot of people need to talk. But when I was in high school, I was failing history class because I fucking hated history class. And my teacher says, look, if you do a book report for each semester, I'll bump you a full letter grade if you do extra work. The very first book he had me ever read was the Jungle, you know, which is about like, you know, industrialized America and how awful that was. The second one was Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. Terrible fucking book, just depressing as shit. The third was on the Holocaust, and this book on the Holocaust had a section in the middle where it had about 25, 30 pictures of some of the ovens and of some of the showers and some of the stuff like the piles of bodies and stuff like this. And I'm reading this book, and it destroys me. I mean, obviously it destroys me. You can't look at that stuff and not be just emotionally ruined by it. And I forget what the image says, and I'm going to feel stupid saying it, but one of the pictures in this book was of a message scrawled by one of the dying people on the wall that had been written there in ash, and I believe it's there preserved to this day. And when I saw that thing, it devastated me in a way that I had never been devastated before. But unfortunately for me, one of the ways that I have dealt with some of the terrible stuff I've dealt with in my life is through humor. And so I tried to find something funny about that picture, which was damn near impossible, by the way, but it's the only way to quell my discomfort with that kind of thing.
I think that's true.
What was the message that was left?
I wish that I could find it. If I remember correctly of the context, I believe it was a message to Hitler himself, as I think was the message. I'm sure if somebody out there smart enough is able to Google this. I know that I've reheard about it in the last 5 years. Someone who did a documentary on it says that message is still scrawled there. I'm sure you'll be able to find pictures of Google images.
Yeah.
But that said, it just like I've always used humor as a way to navigate the really nasty stuff in life. And when Felix does that, I can't really get that mad about it. And when somebody else does it, even though I know it's harmful to himself, even though I know it's harmful to his career, my sense of humor is what protects me from that really nasty shit that I've had to read about, that I've had to see, that other people go through, or the stuff that I've gone through myself.
Can I just give an example of this? This is honestly, Boogie, I think you're one of my favorite people on YouTube just as a person, and this is the reason why, right? You were fair to Gamergate for a start, and that meant a lot, man, to a lot of people.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah,
for me, it was the whole stuff that was going on with the Reddit that was fat people hate or something.
Oh yeah,
right. Now I followed that because I'm a fat guy, and I was just like, shit, that is the harshest stuff in the world, right? And when there were people calling for it to be shut down, you were arguing against that, and I was just like, fucking salute, man.
I've been fat too, and I never saw anything wrong with fat people hate. I miss fat
JonTron.
Yeah, but it's your stuff on the personal.
I'm still here. Don't worry. I ain't gone nowhere.
But I will tell you, like when it comes to the fat people hate thing, like here's the thing. Number one, those people long before that subreddit existed, they've been on my case since the beginning of time. Long after that subreddit has existed, they're still on my case. I check vote every once in a while. I see what they're saying about me over there, and it's never going to go away. It's never going to change. Give those people a place to do what they need to do, so that it's isolated, so that's one place. If that's what they feel they need to do, if that's what they feel they need to organize with that, I don't really care, man. I don't really care. Let them feel and let them say and let them do what they need to do. Sorry, John, go ahead.
I'm just saying it's not like censorship's ever helped anything. It just makes it more loud. It makes it louder in the end.
Right, and that's exactly what it did. For the longest time, those guys got pushed off to every subreddit. And to this day, my subreddit is filled with people that usually posted there that just have nowhere else to post on Reddit. So they come over there and hey, here's a story about the Dime Boogie came into my Waffle House and ate his clean. And I don't know, it's funny. It's still funny. I mean, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
But it's just weird.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, man.
I guess their theory is that censorship would have stopped the Nazis. I don't know that it would.
No. I will explain you why this is happening.
Do you guys know who was the first person that the communists murdered when they took over Russia in 1917? A clown, not a politician. A clown. They murdered a clown on Lenin's orders.
In communist Romania, making jokes with
he performed in St. Petersburg on the stage. He made fun of the Tsar. He made fun of Russian politicians. And the Lenin and Trotsky, they knew exactly that this person was the most dangerous thing to their regime. He was a comedian. He mocked and lampooned the political elite of Russia during that time. And so in the night that they took over the Winter Palace, that famous revolution, they sent a killer commando, to the theater where he was performing and walked onto the stage and shot him in the face. Totalitarians know that comedy is the biggest enemy to them. And that is exactly what we're seeing here. We're seeing authoritarians taking on a war against comedy, a war against fun. They hate fun. They know it's the biggest enemy to them, which is why they're trying to quash it.
Do you mind if I ask Boogie another question then? Yeah. So Boogie, what do you make of? Have you read the Wall Street Journal's article about PewDiePie? I'm the problem. I've read the headline. I don't want to pay $2 to read their stupid website. You still have to pay to read that article? Because the one time I clicked on it, I think you did. I didn't see an archive of it, so I didn't try to find it. So I just went what everybody said about it. So I don't know exactly what it says. That said, I did see a thread compiling the authors of this article and their tweets talking about celebrating destroying PewDiePie's career. And I just think that is disgraceful. I just think that it's disgraceful because here's the thing. If you genuinely believe, and I said this on my stream last night,
if you genuinely believe that you are doing the good thing, the right thing, I'm saving people from having to see this kind of thing. I'm saving people from having to feel this kind of thing, and I'm doing the right thing. You know, I'm not gonna hate you. That's not a thing. I don't mind that. I guess you're trying to do what you consider to be the right thing. I don't necessarily agree that that's the right thing, but at least you're a good-hearted person. These guys were celebrating the act of taking down Felix, and that is disgusting to me.
Yeah,
It's destroying an
Hang on. If anyone listening knows the journalist, can you do me a favor and archive the tweets and put them on the PewDieGate hashtag, please? Because that's the sort of thing I think that is going to be useful in like 3 months' time when explaining this to people.
Right, and like one of the tweets, one of the ones I remember is one of them complaining that the only thing Felix had said on live stream, the only thing he'd said in social media so far was uploading a video of him playing a game about genital jousting. And like, he was mad that Felix wouldn't engage with him.
Have you read the second follow-up Wall Street Journal article?
Oh, I have not.
Because that one is the most revealing, because they talk about YouTube advertisement and how important it is to better regulate advertisement on YouTube, meaning they are essentially going after the money, and they pretty much reveal their motivation. Since their papers are failing, they want us to lose our money as well here on YouTube.
The way they justify this is that they posed as liberals, and we had the saying back in the 90s and the 80s, like you can do whatever you want as long as you're not hurting anyone. And they moved hurting to actual physical hurting and physical damage, to hurting someone's feelings. So this is why they justify what they're doing, because it's like, well, we're protecting the feelings of people who can't protect themselves.
That is true, actually. They always gone about, what about, I mean, Ben Kuchera literally said, what about the minority groups that he's targeting? So what do you mean targeting? Nothing's happening to them.
And they believe that the minority groups, whether they be black, whether they be Jewish, whether they be Asian or whatever, they're incapable of helping themselves.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me say if that's okay, man. I loved Ethan's video on this topic, and I don't think it hit every note, but I think one of the best things that he did there was, being a Jewish person himself. I can't speak for Ethan. I'll never be able to speak for Ethan.
I can speak for Ethan. He gave me those privileges. I actually have the documents here.
But that said, I can't speak for the Jewish people because I'm not a Jewish person. I would never dare try. But here's what I will say is that I agree that Ethan says it's not my job as a white man to be offended for him. If he wants to be offended, he's perfectly capable of being offended. He has a platform. He can be frustrated. He can say what he needs to say. I don't have to say shit for him.
Can you speak for all fat people, or can you speak for all males, or
I can't speak for all fat people because I'm just one fat guy.
Exactly.
I want to know what Phil thinks.
I was about to go on to that. That's right. Phil, what do you make of this whole thing? Because I'm sure you're well informed on what's actually gone on. So, what's your opinion, please?
I'm exhausted and disappointed. I'm exhausted because Felix said in his video, and he's 100% right. They only talk about us as far as YouTubers when they're trying to talk about like, hey, look at these fucking idiots who are making money. Can you believe it? Let's hate on them. Or when they're trying to pull us down through the veil of through some social justice angle. And it was, I don't know, today it was infuriating. And I know several writers from the publications that are putting out these hit pieces, and it's infuriating. The thing that I have to constantly remind myself, though, is an individual or several individuals that are writing on these pieces are not completely representative of all the people that work there. They're more representative of the editors that have to approve the pieces, but not the full organizations. And I think you can see that they're backpedaling, whether it be with their title changes, the deletion of tweets, and they don't think of themselves as targets. Like,
do they?
Go for it.
I'm just curious. Do they not understand what they're doing and the ramifications? Like, they don't. How can they think they're in the right? I mean, are these people crazy?
I think it's like what Boogie said, right? Is that a lot of people, including him, in this situation, they base it off of this surface level stuff, right? You have three guys that are looking through hundreds and hundreds of hours of footage, and they're like, hey, there's Hitler. That has to be wrong, and they're not taking the time to go, oh, let's look at the situation. He's doing this because it's over the top and it's ridiculous. Or, oh, look, this Leslie Jones thing. he's not doing the photoshops. It's this program. He even says it's racist. They're not taking the time, and it's because of this we have to churn shit out cycle.
Right.
I don't agree. I think it's their ideology. They don't tolerate anything they don't consider politically correct.
Well, when you say, see, this is an issue, right? So when you say they, are you saying all of them?
No, I'm saying the people that call themselves progressives and they call themselves.
It's not even just all. No. That's not accurate, man. There are loads of people who are progressives who aren't like SJWs. It's honestly, it seems to be the best way I can think of to describe them is just moral busybodies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, to answer Phil's, sorry, go on.
No, go ahead, John.
Well, to answer Phil's question, I honestly think when he says, well, is there a they most of us have just decided, fuck it, there's a they. We know who they are. I mean, this is what it's become. It's like, if you say anything like that, you're the they, and we're the these.
Honestly, they have their own language, and the way they virtue signal to each other, that they kind of understand who is part of their clique and who isn't.
Yeah.
Like if you read, for instance, an article by Jessica Valenti, and you read the article from, let's say, Steve Kluwe, you will notice the same kind of lines, the same kind of wordings. You know, it's almost like they read from the same book. They talk with each other, and they read the same stuff that they're posting out. So.
Okay.
Like if I could interject here for a second, can I say one thing? I identify as progressive.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised by a strong feminist single mother who took care of her sick husband and worked 40 hours a week, sometimes 50, sometimes 60, to provide for me, to provide for her sick husband who could not work, who taught me that a woman can be anything, that she can do anything, she can do it as well as a man, that there's nothing in this world that a woman cannot do. I believed that since I was a very small child. I will never stop believing that. I will never stop believing that everyone should be treated the same as everyone else. I believe that even when you make dramatically awful mistakes, you should be given a second chance. I believe in the majority of the things that some of these people claim to believe in.
Yeah,
that's
exactly
I
it.
think there's a person here who would disagree with any of that.
No, that's exactly it. They claim to believe that, but they don't preach. Practice.
Do you think that your mother shouldn't do what she wants? She should do what feminism tells her to do, because that's exactly what Anita Sarkeesian said at the Sydney Opera House.
And I'll tell you, my wife, I love her. My wife, I love her, but God love her. But she is, without a doubt, I don't think she identifies with feminism, but she is one of the strongest women I've ever met. And she will take garbage for choosing to be a housewife. She will take shit for choosing to be my caretaker because I need physical help these days with my body. And she takes garbage for liking to bake. And I can't understand that. I can't get into that mindset. Why is it wrong that she likes to cook?
Because it's a gender role. And
it's
they're anti-traditional gender roles, and that's a traditional gender role. And I agree. I think anyone should be free to choose the lifestyle they want as long as it's not hurting anyone.
Does she get shit for that, honestly?
Yes, she gets shit for that.
My wife
Twitter
gets shit for it.
all of the time. She'll cook for our friends on a Saturday night and tweet out what she cooked, and she just stopped doing it because people would be like, "I can't believe you cook for these men."
People are out to destroy anything holy. It's a great thing. It's a nice thing. What's wrong with it?
And for the record,
they're trying to make you ashamed of the
what I wanted to say is I found the archived tweets that they made.
Okay. Get them on the hashtag so people can see them.
I'm not on Twitter. I'm banned from.
Oh right, yeah, that's right.
I can post them here in the sidebar because some
post
of
them in the
them
sidebar. I'll
are
post them.
really revealing.
Yeah. So
read them too.
Philip, right. Okay. So, I mean, what do you make of the media acting like a class? What do you think of that? Because it seems that YouTubers are very much behind PewDiePie, and the media seems to be very much behind the Wall Street Journal. And this is, I think it really does have dimensions of sort of class conflict. What do you think of that? What do you think of like?
That sounds like a Phil question to me.
What do I think about the class conflict between journalists and YouTubers?
Yeah. Do you think there is any? If you think there is any at all?
No, I mean to some extent. I think for the longest time, it starts out like any new thing where no one takes it serious. Then it slowly gets closer. Then you ridicule it. You think it's ridiculous, and then you try and tear it down as it passes you. And that's why the reason I try and get across the point that it's not all of them is just one. I think the whole conversation around this gets pulled out, and then like I looked at the chat and it's all red pill versus blue pill bullshit.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry
understand
about
like a bunch of people buy into that, and that's fine. But I think some definitely resent. I don't do a lot of interviews with a lot of the outlets that talked about PewDiePie here because I've been misrepresented in the past, where they chop me up and make me sound like something else. And the only reason I feel like they haven't gone after other people, because I mean we all know fucking people or might be people that they could go after. The only reason they're going after PewDiePie is the size. They're going after the biggest guy to see if they can knock him down. And
I've always been surprised the animus they've had towards Felix. It seems like it never ends with them and him.
It's because he's a threat to them.
Yeah,
and because he has a habit of not striking back, he's usually just ignored this, been the better man, and just risen above it.
They don't like that they can't influence his stuff.
It pisses them off because they expect him to get annoyed by this,
But I just want to say, Phil, it's funny because in some ways you are like the original alternative media show. I can't think of too many. Was there anyone before you who used to do because you were the first guy I saw on YouTube who would just cover the news?
The closest guy would probably be JonTron, who a bunch of us just based our shows off of. But I don't know. He mainly stuck to the left.
Really, it's interesting to see how far it's come. To see you still doing it. It's cool. I don't know.
I know I've kissed your ass in person a few times, Phil. But thank you, man. Thank you. Let me do it publicly. Thank you for doing what I always wanted to do, but doing it well instead of shitty like I do. Doing it with a real backbone, because sometimes I simply don't. It's so difficult. It is so difficult. It is difficult to take the hate that you have to take to be a moderate, because you have to catch it from the left, you have to catch it from the right. I was not built for that.
But sometimes it's because I'm actually moderate, and then sometimes it's because I like to trigger people, including chat, which is why I said the blue pill, red pill thing.
How dare you break the sanctity of the blue and the red pill?
Just out of curiosity, who is Kim Il-sung?
Yeah, I was about to ask, who's Christian?
Oh, that's me.
And who's me?
I'm not a YouTuber or anything. I just figured you let Phillip DeFranco join. I thought you'd let anyone join.
What is happening here exactly?
That's funny, and I respect that move.
Did we just get this whole stream just got red pilled?
Yep, red pilled hard.
Just prove you wrong, Phil. It's real.
I wanted to ask Boogie, how do you think this will end? And what will come out of it?
I mean, I think that the 24-hour news cycle will recycle it as often as they can, try to get Felix's name on the news as often as they can, try to get as many detached parents to hate him as humanly possible, try to do as much damage to YouTube, the platform, and to his career as humanly possible. Then they'll move on to the next thing and wait for someone else on YouTube to put a foot in their mouth and then just do it all over again. And at the end of the day, I think Felix is one of the most intelligent, talented people on the platform, and I expect him to rise above. I can't believe they canceled this YouTube Red show. I still can't believe that happened. That is mind-boggling to me. But beyond that, I know that he'll be fine, and I know that he'll rise above this, and I know that he has an audience that loves him with a fury of 1,000 suns. So I basically, they picked a guy who's genuinely bulletproof. Like, he's genuinely bulletproof. Fire at him as much as you want. We couldn't ask for a better martyr. We couldn't ask for a better, more bulletproof person than Felix to be on the front line of this fight. I honestly don't think we could, and I think he's going to be just fine, and I think eventually they'll just move on to the next target.
Will you guys be targeted and PewDiePie targeted?
All the attention they're giving him is just giving him more attention. That's what he wants. That's what he's doing it for.
I mean, they rolled over on me. I'm a small. I mean, I'm not a small guy, but I'm a small guy with a failing channel. So at the end of the day, like, I don't matter. But they've rolled over on me. They will look for any weak link they can find. They will nip at any hole in the armor they find.
If it wasn't for this, guys like you and Phillip DeFranco wouldn't end up on our corner of the internet ever. You wouldn't.
That's true. I mean, honestly, if I wasn't here to defend a creator that I genuinely love, if I wasn't here to defend him, Sargon, no offense, but I'd be eating dinner with my wife right now.
There'd be no reason for this stream, mate.
Yeah.
I didn't mean that as an accusation. I meant it in the way of they're the people who bring out these stories, who keep trying to create artificial outrage, they just keep making more and more enemies when they continue doing that behavior.
I think they've reached the point where they've made too many enemies. I really do.
Yeah, well, that goes back to the thing Phil said with like, well, you know, it's not. And I understand what you're saying, Phil. I really do. Like, where you say it's not all of this media, and there are good people there. I understand, but they've decided to fucking all collude and wage war. I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
there's obviously a force out there that all thinks one way.
And one of the lessons I learned very early is that nobody ever thinks they're the bad guy. That's the thing. Like, they're doing bad things, they don't think they're the bad guys, and even if they're having a terrible negative effect, they think they're doing the right thing. I try to get into the head of anybody. I'm nobody's enemy at the end of the day, man. I try to get along with every person on the planet. It's just one of my character flaws. But that said, I understand that they think they're doing the right thing. At the end of the day, I don't think they're fully aware of the damage that they're doing. I wish someone like Phillip could sit down and make them watch one of their shows. It's like, look, this is the long-reaching effect of what you're doing. Please understand, you're not helping, you're harming. And unless I'm wrong, and in the case that they do know they're doing harm and they don't give a shit, then fuck them with a rake.
They're happy he lost millions of dollars, actually.
But I'm not necessarily talking about like hitting Felix in the pocket. Okay, maybe that makes you happy. Maybe you think that's the right thing. Maybe he's the enemy. But the number of people that are going to bounce back to protect Felix, the people who are going to become ingrained in the beliefs, the people that are going to dig in. Extremism begets extremism, which begets extremism. And you divide the country, you divide the world, you divide YouTube, you divide all of this stuff. People get madder and madder. The long-lasting effects of this stuff is never good. This is never the way to handle this kind of thing. This extremism, jeez, I can't even think of the right word. But to be just so over the top with it creates other people becoming over the top, which then makes other people go over the top. And it just spirals completely out of control until you have a nation like we have right now. And I don't know how much further there is to go. But I guess we're going to find it. I guess we're determined to figure out if we can just start killing people in the fucking streets. I guess.
No, well, I'll tell you what. No, I'll tell you. You see, you're very right about that, and that's what I've been saying. You know, I've been trying to fight it as best I could with words, but when words don't work anymore, that's when it gets bad, and that's when the extremism begets extremism, because is what it is.
I don't think we are on the way of fixing this, though. Look at America now. Look at the election of Trump, who's a buffoon, yes, but he's a clear sign that the people are still being heard. I do think there are still plenty of legal and peaceful remits and courses of action.
Now you say that, but look at the other 50% of the country won't let democracy run its course. They're just constantly trying to discredit, undermine in any way they can. It doesn't even matter if they play fair anymore.
He's at war with the deep state at the moment. I mean, his own intelligence services are trying to discredit him.
If they win, they win. That's it. They don't care what it means. They couldn't care less how they got him out of there.
You don't have
50% or just a small minority of the people who lost.
I think it's a large amount of people. I mean, look at it. It's crazy. It's not.
Yeah, they have. I mean, look at the Women's March. Millions of people.
Yeah.
It was bigger than the Libertarians when Obama won, and that was a pretty big march.
Yeah, I mean, like, I voted for Obama, like I said, you know, like, and I wasn't a Republican, but even if I were at that point, look what happened. They were like, okay, we'll let this ride out 8 years, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is like, what the fuck? You can't. So it's like basically the let's just say 50% of the nation that voted for Trump. They got the message. Your opinion doesn't matter, even when you win. Even when you win fair and square, you're a dum-dum, and I'm gonna smash you with my hammer.
Like, dude, that is exactly what they're doing. They are trying to unseat Trump, who is an elected president, and as far as we can tell, he didn't cheat to get there.
No, he didn't cheat. That's the thing. He didn't cheat at all. Not at all.
But Hillary Clinton was cheating. She's a lifelong cheater, and that's the person they were trying to install. I just can't understand it.
Well, I mean, that's why if anybody asks, well, where does this extremism come from? It's the breakdown of democracy is when one side feels like it's not being heard, even when it wins fairly. I think that would be my assessment of why people feel kind of extreme.
But okay. Do you mind, Phillip? Do you mind if I ask you on this issue again? I'm probably taking you one outside your comfort zone, or I hope I am. What do you think about the clear social divide in the United States?
I mean, I was watching. I stopped watching Trump's press conference so I could jump in on this, but I kind of agree with one thing that he said, which is that, you know, this country was divided before I got here. I didn't divide it. I mean, it's like how he got to power. It's up there. I mean, just think of after Obama was elected. Think when he got his second term. Think of the day after, right? Your interaction with other people, and then think of the day after this election, right? I think that obviously that was going to be peak, but it's definitely representative of the change. So I think that it is at as far as my lifetime, this is the craziest and most divided we've ever been. I'm only 30. I mean, that's ancient on YouTube, but for me, this is new territory, which is one of the reasons why I love talking to so many people about it, because they have more experience than me, and my interest in politics really only extends, I would say, like the last 6 years. But if you look out, I mean, you know how fucked things are right now.
Yeah, no, you're spot on with that.
Yeah.
I actually talked to my grandma who lived under Nazi occupation in Croatia, was it? And she was telling me how she'd never seen any shit like this in America.
So, Phil, I mean, for me, it's the perception seems to be that the sort of far left, and it seems that most people in the media are quite far left. If you're not in like Fox News, they don't seem to have any tools with which to deal with anyone outside of their bubble anymore. They seem to, I mean, they've declared them as fascists and Nazis, and so how the hell, I mean, could they ever reconcile, do you think? Do you think they'll ever turn back on what they've said?
Well, I think the big important thing is to remember that it's not left, right. It's not that extreme, right? It seems like that. I really do believe that where we see ourselves, it is very much on the spectrum. And I think on the far left and the far right, you have these fucking like Pac-Man-esque eating their way to the middle of all these people that consider themselves, somewhat fucking moderate, or they just like they have a difference of opinion on the key issues, right? The big key issues that separated a lot of Democrats from a lot of Republicans for a while. You have abortion and you have guns, right? Maybe the death penalty you could throw in there. There's obviously like the taxes.
So there is definitely a fault line along. You could, it's exactly you say, like abortion.
Right, but so at least then it could be like, I want to choose for control of my body, and people shouting "baby killer." I like that. I want to go back to that normal rather than like everyone's either a Nazi or wants to like burn down. I don't see the world as that. I do think that even if you go a little like excessive, you could say that the far on both sides. Give a range of like 10 to 15%. Let your bias control how far you think that exists on your side. But
I agree.
I think the more people realize how fucking moderate they are, and that the people that they hate are actually a minority of a subgroup of a larger group, I think then we can move on. But I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon.
I agree. The problem, right? I know what's happened here. It's basically the people. If you follow any kind of ideological position, you're probably never going to take it to its zenith, but the people who do will always win an argument against you. For example, if you say, well, I'm a feminist, and they say, yeah, but you still do, you still wear makeup because the patriarchy wants you to. I don't wear any makeup. Then that person has gained like a superiority over you, and they've become an authority on the subject. And that goes for any ideological position. The extremists always gain control because they are the more pure ones in that ideological hierarchy. But I mean, most people aren't like that, and they just need to realize that. And most of the time, they will. Here's someone who isn't like that.
So here's like an example kind of that, right? When if we move to feminists, right? Which I feel like it's very easy to have a negative mindset on that, because most people, when you think of that, you think of the most heated and angry version of a Lacey Green, right? And that is a person that I'm personally just not a fan of. But when I have friends that consider themselves feminists, and often they're the people that get yelled at by some other feminists because they're not representative, intersectional, something. I don't know. My mind starts hurting.
Feminists.
Yeah. It's just, they're like, you know what? Equality. There's differences between us, but just like, if treat me with the same amount of respect. Cool. Then, and in my head, I think of that as classical feminists rather than the very, very toxic version of like a Lacey Green.
I think they're called intersectional feminist.
Right, and so that's the big point, right? And I know I can end up sounding like a fucking broken record, but I just try not to look at everyone as my enemy, but certain groups, yeah. Certain people, yeah.
I try to, like, I've spoken with Lacey Green several times. I saw her, I think, at VidCon, and I spoke to her in DMs on Twitter a few times. And
You survived?
I watch her videos. Yeah, I survived. I watch her videos from time to time, and I very rarely agree with them, but I love her challenging my ideals. I love consuming it. Anita Sarkeesian, she's not my enemy or anything close to it. I watch her content. I don't often agree with it. Sometimes I feel like her point is somewhat disingenuous, but I learn from it. I learn a different perspective. And one of the things that I preach on my content all the time, I preach on my live stream all the time, I am not a liberal. I am not a conservative. I am not a feminist. I am not a man's right activist. I'm Boogie. I'm a person.
Sounding a lot like a Nazi right now.
I'm just saying, I don't have a fucking label. I don't have a fucking, I don't believe a belief structure. Nobody handed me a belief structure, and I agree with it. I am pro-choice, but I hate baby killing. I love healthcare. I love healthcare, but I hate the idea of taxing the poor to pay for it, or even taxing the rich. I'm a complicated person with complicated ideals. And the more that we simplify ourselves and apply label to ourselves, Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, feminist, men's rights activist, and the easier it is someone to take away your identity, take away your personality, take away who and what you are. When you label yourself, you're no longer that person. You're no longer George or Bob or Steve or Susan. You are a feminist, conservative, Republican label. You're a label, and it's so easy to hate the other team. It's real hard to hate a person. Yeah, it's real hard to hate a person.
That's the thing.
The problem,
they dichotomize people into factions, and factions can do nothing else but go to war with each other.
The problem here is, and I believe in that exactly what you said, Boogie, but the problem, I guess, is when the breakdown occurs on a large scale throughout a nation, because a nation is what? It's just an extended family, and with people who agree on certain ideals over other ones. And I mean, you have to have some cohesion, and that's what's fracturing, and that's the scary part. That's the issue. I mean, we clearly are divided on lines that like are just basic shit these days.
I had a conversation with someone from Antifa the other day.
Oh boy,
she's very, very much an Antifa supporter.
How did you establish a communication?
It was just on Twitter, right? No, she's one of the ones who she's just got into it, I think, and she's just read her Marx. And she was telling me about the labor theory of value, and I was like, no, it's wrong. It's wrong. But anyway, she was basically, we were talking about political violence, and she was like really heatedly arguing that, yes, I know political violence is wrong. We only do it to, we don't think we should do it to anyone but Nazis. And I was just like, look, no, you shouldn't even do it to Nazis. There should be no political, and that was the thing. To her, they weren't even the people. They weren't human.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, that's such a basic. If we can't agree on that, it's chaos, and
yeah, exactly. Then it's civil
it has
war.
To reorganize it.
That's civil war. As soon as it comes to that point, then you're actually, and it worries me that there are literally communists and Nazis fighting in the streets these days.
Yeah, it's true.
It's 1930s Germany all over again, and Trump isn't a scary thing. Trump is not a scary thing.
There's actually a word for this process of dehumanization called the banality of evil. It's when you reduce an enemy, when you prop up an ideological enemy and turn your fight against your ideological enemy into a kind of bureaucracy, like turning your opponent into a set of labels or numbers. And then there's a term that Hannah Arendt used to describe, what's his fucking name again? Eichmann. So when you reduce the process of reducing a human being to nothing but a number or a label or something like that, is more or less a simplification of the process of allowing yourself to just do horrible things to that person.
I'm not sure that's the banality of evil, but I understand that there is that is the process you're talking about.
But there is even in the days of the American Civil War back in the 1850s era, you had the Confederate South and you had the Union, and it was like it was pretty clear, this side versus this side. But now it's. I mean, you're going to have people within California opposing its own secession. I mean, there's no clear sides. So
they are. I think they are drawn along ideological lines that are based on a certain set of principles that gets them to the point of being in conflict. I mean, why would what real reason have Republicans got to be opposed to abortion? To be fair, religious ones mostly. And that if it wasn't for that principle, it probably wouldn't be an issue. They probably went, well, it's constitutional, it's libertarian. They probably wouldn't mind if it wasn't for the religion. And that's the thing. All of these things are motivated by ideologies, and people don't really seem to take a great interest in the sort of the actual meat and substance of these ideologies. And
My country banned abortions. I don't know why they don't look at history to see what happens in countries where you do ban abortions. And
well, because they're utopian idiots. This is the thing with all of these. They're all utopian.
Yeah, I mean, well, I always saw this abortion and gay rights issues. That's what we were arguing over for 20, 30 years there. Those were the big issues. They seem kind of small now, don't they? But, I always thought these were kind of distractions. Yeah. So, I mean, I always voted pro-gay marriage. I remember I voted against Prop 8 in California. I don't know if you remember that one, Phil.
Oh, yeah.
Prop 8.
The thing is,
can you tell us about it?
Even though we are talking about real issues, the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years have been dominated with a political discourse about distinctive non-issues. It's about, oh, you're offensive this, that's offensive, rather than actually talking about real issues.
Yeah, the real issues, because those are hard and they're upsetting. But abortion, that's a good. Just put that up on there. That'll keep the monkeys distracted.
Phil, what do you think of Trump on what he's actually been doing in his time in office, rather than what the media have been saying about him?
Well, wait, what do you mean?
The executive orders. What's your opinion of his and just compared to his campaign promises, what he's actually done? I don't want not the conspiracy stuff and all that, but the things he has actually actioned while being the president. What do you reckon about that?
That is a good question. I'm trying to think of what to say.
I appreciate that it's going to be something that you need to vocalize clearly.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to just shoot from the hip. I think that the thing that's been most eye-opening as far as the executive orders and what he's been doing, I have a pretty varied family and friend group, and there were a lot of people that voted for him. I have a lot of family from the South who have dealt with hard times. They really didn't want to deal with a lot of the same, and that's what they saw as far as Clinton. And so they would say things like, I don't think he actually cares about the wall, and he's not going to do a ban. He's just going to, don't worry about it. It's about the economy. Going back to kind of Bill Clinton days, it's the economy, stupid. And so for me, it's been the most eye-opening that, you have to, I think you do have to kind of take him at his word. He's saying what he wants to do. A lot of people kind of justified, but that's what a lot of people are freaking out about with the executive orders. What's really important also is to realize that there's a huge group out there that are like, yes, he's doing it. This is why I voted for him. I am scared because of this part of the country, and I do think that we need to change things up. And so I feel like what a lot of people see is, I think that you could easily say the way the travel ban went through, the way it went through was fucking horrid. And then you can debate as far as whether it's right or wrong. But I don't know. The way that went down, it made me not as far as if it was the right or wrong thing. It made me really question how far ahead they're thinking and who's talking to who as far as the confusion. That's what scares me the most. On top of what I feel like is very much.
Do you think that the media is contributing to the hysteria?
I think that you have some. I think that it's also important not to completely push off all media, because then you're not trusting fact checking. Because I can talk as much shit as I want about mainstream media this, mainstream media that. I use mainstream media sources as well as smaller up and coming sources. It's just a matter of going to all of them and seeing where their facts come from. So it's not like I don't completely throw them to the side. And that's where a lot of the some not all comes into play.
I think my problem with the mainstream media in that regard is for me it's the lies by omission. It's what they don't tell you. I did a video about CNN, and I just had 3 different kinds of lies by omission that they do in it. And the one that pissed me off the most, and this, maybe it's because my family's working class, and this really got under my skin, but it was Van Jones, who gets paid $1 million a year, before the election, he was obviously everyone's a racist. This is a white lash.
Yeah, the white lash. I saw that live actually.
The white lash. And then afterwards, he did a segment where he went to like rural Ohio or something, sat down with a piss poor family, and then proceeded to like imply that he was somehow the victim of their existence because this was world shattering to him. He couldn't believe this was true. My God, I've got to reestablish my entire paradigm. It's like, yeah, they are the victim of your lies.
Oh, you're talking about when he went and sat down with those families and he talked to them?
You didn't even know they fucking existed, and yet you had the temerity to talk about them and how they were racist.
Yeah, and then he says, when they're saying something against his narrative, he said, "Oh, come on, don't say that. I'm here to help you guys."
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, go fuck off.
I mean, that was just beyond the pale for me. You arrogant motherfucker.
Yeah, well, those guys. Yeah, to Phil's point, I mean, I do know what you mean, Phil, when you say you can't write them off, but it's not their facts that. It's more their narrative. They clearly have a
interpretation,
narrative. Right. Yeah, well, that's what's. It's not like I look at a fact that the news says and goes fake news. It's just like, it's just like when they say they're obviously covering up, maybe like a Muslim attack, and they don't want to make it seem like, oh, this was Islamic related. It's this kind of like bullshit narrative that's everywhere now, and that's what's annoying.
I'm old enough to remember a time when the news was required X number of sources, required X amount of investigation, required facts. I mean, there was a period of time where I could tune into the nightly news in my lifetime and sit down and watch a factual, non-biased report from beginning to end. And I believe, if I'm remembering my history correct, it's because there was a law in place that made that necessary in order to report it as news. And I understand why we got rid of that law, because speculation should be part of the news sometimes. And if you can't nail down every source, not being able to report something that is true is obviously devastating, right? If we know that it's true, we have one source, we don't have two, we can't report it. But the frustrating thing for me is that's what it's all become. Investigative journalism is not as common these days. It is something that I really wish was. Even when you do have facts, it is always slanted in one direction or the others. Fox puts it in one way, CNN puts it in another. And it's a very frustrating situation to have to live through. And I believe that if the media ever wants to get its shit back together, if ever wants to sell papers of the 2020 equivalent of it, they will have to begin to fact check and fact check and fact check and present non-biased news. Or, there was a time that editorial information was in the editorial section. And I believe that's where it belongs.
Yeah. It's seeped into the news part. Yeah.
I don't think people want to buy that, Boogie. I think people want to buy confirmation bias.
Yeah,
right, but that's what I'm saying. And
because the world's become so confusing. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Unless it becomes impossible to create that, the press will never self-right. That ship will never right itself if you do not make it impossible to buy biased news. Because otherwise people just subscribe to what they already believe.
I think a big issue is when you see there's no real debate anymore. It's almost like you come into a mainstream outlet knowing what you can and can't say. So if there's something that's really pressing, like, maybe Islam is kind of behind this wave of terror. Like you're not allowed to say these kinds of obvious things. They have these speech codes. Diversity is strength. You just gotta have to believe that. There's no real debate anymore. So I think that's what's causing that schism. Personally, that's what I think.
Can I just introduce another sort of interesting piece of news that I think is worth talking about? And this highlights a persistent problem with the left. This is probably my biggest bugbear to them because I'm so big on free speech. I'm sure people are aware, but if they're not, there's a journalist called Jeremy Scarhill who's due to appear on Real Time with Bill Maher. And Bill booked Milo Yiannopoulos, which I'm sure
I did see that. That would be interesting. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Well, this is Bill Maher has fired back at this journalist who protested his show over Milo's booking. The journalist in question wrote a big long post here that I won't read out, but basically, just Milo has many bridges too far. He has ample venues to spew his hateful diatribes. There is no value. Oh, no value debating. Yeah. Sure, you've already lost it. Got it. Fuck. What did I do? Yeah. So he basically denounces Milo as a fascist. He probably even uses that word, but definitely a racist and sexist and that sort of thing. And I know Milo personally. I've met him, and I don't think he's a fascist. He's a gay
Milo a fascist? Yeah. This is like the funniest shit I've ever heard.
The baby stormer
with an interracial fetish. He's not a fucking Nazi.
I remember an age when we used to look at behavior like that and say, well, you're behaving like a petulant little child.
Yeah, that's what it used to be.
But Bill Maher has come back with, my comments on Islam have never veered into vitriol. Liberals will continue to lose elections as long as they follow the example of people like Mr. Scarhill, whose views veer into fantasy and away from bedrock liberal principles like equality of women, respect for minorities, separation of religion and state, and free speech. If Milo Yiannopoulos is indeed the monster Scarhill claims, and he might be, nothing could serve the liberal cause better than having him exposed on Friday night. Fucking bravo, Bill.
Yeah. Bill Maher, for all disagreements I have with the guy, he's always been decently willing to hear people out. I think
consistent on those principles.
He's consistent. Yeah, at least he's consistent.
But yeah, that is excellent because again, this guy's a journalist. He's a regressive journalist, and this is how we all know they have the same opinions because they all demonstrate the same opinions. This is just, what he's posted here is just like regressive mumbo jumbo 101. It's every single talking point written in exactly the same way they all say it. And it's okay, you can, it's like, who are they? Well, they make themselves clear by going on about these exact things in this exact way. I don't know how to describe it.
But at the same time, you have, sorry, go on.
Well, why do you guys think they never mention the fact that almost a lot of Muslim countries don't allow people who went to Israel in their nation?
Oh yeah, I think it's Iran too.
Yeah, Iran as well. So why is it bad for America to do it when it's something that international law?
It's totally within the realm of international politics to do that.
I think that the issue is that we prefer not to do it, but we should reserve the right to if we want to.
It's a political statement. I don't think
we don't want to just ban someone based on where they're from.
It is soft power, so it's not.
In the end, my criticism of it is that it is a useless measure because in the end we know that most terrorist activities is sponsored by Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia is not on the list. That's my consensus on the thing.
No, the Muslim ban was dumb.
It's a political statement, crowd. It's not meant to actually stop terrorism or anything like that. But given the state of the world, especially in the European Union, and with the ideology of opening borders and letting everyone in, I think what the Trump administration is doing is making a political statement that we're not like that, and you need to get used to it.
It was also a simple expedience. Trump didn't have time to make his own list, so he just, I'll go with the one Obama did, and I'll put it into the executive order. Give me reports every 30 days so I can make my own list.
I actually would have...
JonTron, the thing you mentioned previously with the idea of self-censorship that is going on, I would add to that the thing is which is currently happening, especially within the liberal movement in the United States, is not just a self-censorship, it is an embrace of things that contradict the very liberal values that these people talk about. Take, for example, the Women's March, which was organized by Linda Sarsour, who praises Saudi Arabia. The country is
that shit blew my mind. Look. Every fucking time, I'm like, they won't surprise me again. They just find a fucking way.
Do you know Ayaan Hirsi Ali?
What's that?
Do you know Ayaan Hirsi Ali?
No, I don't know I can't really understand what you're saying.
Ayaan Hirsi Ali is a Somalian woman who was raised under obviously a strict theocratic law. She was genetically mutilated. Right. She escaped to the West, educated herself.
And she criticized the Women's March specifically because it was organized by Linda Sarsour. And Linda Sarsour tweeted on Ayaan Hirsi Ali, remember, ex-Muslim, under constant police protection, and victim of genital mutilation.
Yeah.
She tweeted at her, "I wish I could take your vagina away. You don't deserve to be a woman."
Yes. I saw that. It's insanity. These people don't even. I don't think they have any liberal values. This Linda Sarsour character, what a joke. It's not. She doesn't scare me. It's a joke that these people would go along with it. Like the most anti-feminist thing on the planet is Islam.
This is women protesting jihad in Iran. And in the United States, they are actually for the jihad. And in Iran, all of these women were protesting against the jihad.
Yeah,
they haven't got the faintest fucking clue what the fucking it is. They don't fucking know.
It might be because when I was 10, I'm half Persian. I went to Iran with my family. It was pre 9/11, and my mom, white lady, has to put on the hijab, and it's forced there. It's state mandate. So I've seen firsthand. I'm like, no, this sucks. Go back to Anglo-Saxon things better. Fuck this. I don't like what. It's not even hard for me, but it seems so hard for people to understand that. No, when a fucking anti-feminist ideology becomes political, you don't have your rights anymore.
The famous Swedish feminist parliament, that went to fucking Iran and then meekly put on hijabs.
I saw that. I saw that.
I will say that I could not fill a Post-it with the information I have about the world outside of the United States. I am one of the most ignorant Americans on the planet. I know very little about any of this stuff. So for me to ever weigh in on geopolitical fucking stuff like this, I can never do it. But I will tell you this, that alone, watching those women put on hijabs, that was one of the most, I cringed harder than I've ever cringed.
Feminine power, eh?
Like even as stupid as I am, even I knew that was fucking awful.
Man, I hate seeing the hijab as an American flag. That actually offends me.
I'm going to be very rude here and shill for my video and put it in the side chat where I put my text on this. I mean, I know that you liked it, Sargon.
I'll tweet that out. I'll tweet that out.
No, you already did, but never mind.
But no, it was a very, very good video, actually, Kraut.
The thing about the hijab thing is that, for example, in Somalia, it is written in Sudan, it is written into the constitution that a woman who refuses to wear the veil is tied up, put on a public square, and then has her face flogged with cables. The punishment is disfigurement, more or less. And as long as women around the world are mutilated, murdered, and even raped and tortured to death for refusing that strict Islamic set of rules, you can't make the fucking hijab a symbol of liberty.
No way. I mean, well, what they want to do is they want to make it a symbol of cultural relativism. They want to say Western values are not special. There's nothing special about them. Nobody ever fought for them. No philosophers ever pondered them. These are just the default, and it's actually these other cultures who have some sort of magical quality, they're so exotic. It's insane.
No, but look at them.
They're blind to their own culture.
Doesn't it show humiliance? It's like almost obeying to the other nation.
I guess so. I don't think they could. These people couldn't give two fucks. They want to look good in the spotlight for a second and go home and say, "Look what I did. I fought for something."
There was an instance where this female Canadian minister, like I can't remember what position it was. She went into a mosque and they made her go in through the side door because she was a woman.
Yeah.
And I'm just sat there thinking, holy shit.
Yeah.
If liberals, like actual liberals who aren't like ridiculous cultural relativist progressives, are looking at that and saying, what you actually you agreed to gender segregation in just such a petty, like, no, that it just screams at me. I can't stand it.
The best thing was after the Cologne mass sexual assaults, I sent you all the articles by the biggest chief feminist in Germany, which just desperately tried to find the kind of way of explaining it away. And one of the best ones was where she said, I don't remember her name right now, but she said something. She published an article along the lines of, this is not so bad because the German men are far worse because they're just angry because brown people raped their women.
Wow.
Well, yeah. Anyone raped their women, I'd be angry.
Okay, Phil, can I get your opinion, someone? Because I notice you're far too well raised to interrupt like the rest of us.
Sorry. Just really quick. The reason I'm quiet a lot of the time is this isn't a place that I would normally hop in, and I just love hearing other people's thoughts.
I'm good. Yeah, I don't want to incriminate you here. Look, it's not necessarily normal for me either. I never even was talking about shit.
Hey guys, I'm a tourist here. You guys know that?
Yeah, you're going to get plenty of hit pieces written about you.
Oh, whatever. I don't care.
Dude, it happens to me on like a weekly basis. I'll get someone going, "Oh, well, he's an alt-right sympathizer." It's like I make videos against the alt-right. I tweet them interracial gay porn because I know it pisses them off.
Here's a fact though, right? Whether it be the Milo at Berkeley or Milo on Mar or to a much lesser degree, any of us being in here, right? Conversation can help lead the way and inform. Anytime you censor somebody or anytime you try and cut off the conversation, that's when you stoke the fires of extremism, and that's where you stoke the fires of divide, right? And that's just the way it is. So I think conversation with people that might not normally talk, I think it's a good thing.
That's actually what I've come to. That's what I came to because I always try to stay apolitical. I talked to Sargon once, like 2 weeks ago or something, and it blew up. And I'm not in. This is not my game. But I'm just like, all right, let's lead the way for some real conversation. Like this is bullshit. No more. No more extremism.
The thing that's really interesting about this is I think JonTron's probably the most right-wing person in here.
I might be, actually. I don't know.
I think you actually might be. I mean, like me, I know that Kraut V and myself, and I'm probably Arch as well, like we self-identify as like classical liberals. We consider ourselves left-leaning.
No, that's what I am. That's pretty much what I am. What does right wing mean?
Right.
What does right wing mean to you? I'm curious.
Exactly. It doesn't mean much these days. But you know what I mean?
Look. I would never. I'm not pro-life.
Like a gathering of far-right people is what I'm trying to say.
I'm not pro-life. I'm not anti-gay marriage. Those are the only right-wing things I can think of, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I'm against mass immigration. Does that make me right-wing? I don't.
No, that makes you sensible because
I'm pretty sure I'm a classical liberal,
and it's got nothing to do with race. Absolutely nothing.
I remember a period of time in my life when I was hated on for being liberal and being so liberal, and now there are periods of time in my life that I feel like I must be pretty damn conservative compared to a lot of these people. Like, I can't really compare. Like the goalpost got moved so far. I'm on the 50-yard line at this point.
I don't think
I'm right wing every damn day, and I'm just sat here going, no, I'm not right wing. It's just you've just travelled so far to the left, and I just haven't moved. And my positions are exactly as they always were. You know?
Oh shit! Did I say I'm pro-life? I'm pro-choice.
Yeah, all right. Why do you say that?
Sorry, I'm not. I fucked up. I'm not pro-life. I'm pro-choice. Sorry, go on, Sargon.
The goalposts, in my opinion, haven't really been moved. The thing is just that our media, especially, has been taken over by a bunch of incompetent fanatics. It's the kind of shit that they spew. They just try desperately to shove us into a light where to dehumanize us essentially, to make us look like the worst possible thing there is. The political disagreements themselves on real issues haven't really changed that much.
Well, isn't that the inevitability of democracy, though? Like, isn't that what it always eventually has to boil down to? I mean, we've had a wonderful experiment here in the United States, and I think it's wonderful that we lasted as long as we have. And I hope we get another 200 or 300 years, but I mean, like,
sayonara.
Actually, I think it is actually the fate of republics, not necessarily democracies.
Well, true. Okay, yeah, there you are.
But yeah, no, republics do have a half-life. They don't go on forever.
Yeah, you know, people can make it about what they
Who
want.
cares? Who cares? We Germans are used to watching the world burn.
Don't make us turn your country to ash again, you rascals.
Yeah. Okay, hang on. Phil, what do you make
Jesus,
of
John? Holy shit!
It's all right, John. You're never gonna get away from this, mate.
That is.
What did I say? I'm talking about the Berlin bombing. Go on.
Yeah, Phil. What I was going to ask you about Milo and the protests. What's your interpretation of all of this? What do you think it means?
As far as that happening?
Yeah, the very fact that this happened, and like, because I mean, like, some of the people arrested at Berkeley were actually staff members of Berkeley, protesting against Milo and breaking stuff and things like that.
So I would need to look at the articles of the specific people and their positions as far as who was arrested. I think that, I mean, from a lot of the stuff that I saw, because I had asked people to send in footage, because some were there to protest, some were just documenting the original protesters, and then they kept filming as things got crazy through the night. From everything, all the footage I saw, it looked like there were a bunch of people that were angry, but they were kind of just there. And then there were some assholes that did that thing where they actually like try and block the doors. And then those motherfuckers in black masks showed up, and it was like all hell. And for me, right, it'd be easy to go, well, it's just those people, but it's the people that are kind of in, not fully there, but that rejoice that it's happening, that say that like this is what we need to see more of. And it's like, no, you want to see this. Well, that's why, like, there were a lot of people that cheered for Richard Spencer getting clocked in the face twice, right? Yeah. And the problem is, even because one, I got a lot of shit because I didn't rejoice. You know, I don't like the guy, what he stands for, what he says a lot of the time, because a lot of that shit is just horrible to me. But I'm not gonna go punch that dude because all you're gonna do is you rile up support, and then you're just going to slowly fucking move the bar for who you're calling a Nazi, right? And that's exactly what we're seeing, to bring it back to the PewDiePie situation. People that then all of a sudden make off-color jokes, or then are shown in a different light, but by enough people. The only reason he's able to fight back is he has such a large audience. So to the people that not only do it, but to the people that cheer it on as this is what protesting is supposed to be like, I say fuck those people. That's horrible. It's stupid. You can be against Milo, not happy that he's going to speak, but also to the people that are on the right that were saying that the school is responsible. if it's specific staff members, I'd once again love to see that article and look at their positions. But from everything that I had seen, the school welcomed a different thought process. The mayor may not have agreed with it, but the school looked like they were welcoming an opposition voice.
Hold on, Robert Reich was he the school's dean, or who was that guy, Robert Reich?
A teacher, I think.
No. He was like the dean or something. He was saying like he thought it was an infiltration from the right wing to like frame them.
Oh yeah, on CNN. And,
yeah, it was this guy. And so I think what you're saying is right. It's when people buy into the narrative that causes us them. When people are cheering it on.
Said it was 4chan. Did you see that?
Yeah. I don't know.
It was very no. I spoke to some of these Antifa people on Twitter, and they were pissed off that people were crediting this to the right wing.
Yeah. They were saying they were basically saying like this couldn't have been the left. We're so virtuous.
Yeah. The Antifa people were like, no, it's us.
It couldn't have been us. So I think that's where you get this weird divide.
Yeah.
I don't know how that solves. War, shooting bayonets.
Sorry, Phil. Would you say your opinion would be more boycotts rather than violently protest then?
No, I think not violent protest. I think just protests. I mean, if you're going to boycott something, I don't know. I know that it originated from the right of calling left-leaning people snowflakes, but there's snowflakes all over the place. Whether people are boycotting Starbucks or they're trying to boycott Milo, right?
Yeah, I've noticed like Baked Alaska, is it? He seems to be organizing a lot of boycotts over things I find really trivial. And I mean,
the guys, like he and I recently had like a public disagreement, but what I end up finding is that, especially with the guys that lean super far to the right, where I end up meeting a lot of people is the fact that we're both insanely anti-PC. And that we're anti a lot of stuff. But the boycotts, it's just, I have a hard time anyone shouting, about snowflakes, and then they do very snowflakey things. Boycotts are completely, a fine thing. I think that you show the world what you want with how you spend your dollar, but just the way and like the whining of from everyone, it bothers me.
It's definitely become a whine.
I didn't actually mean it in that regard. I actually meant like don't attend the lecture or peaceful protest as well as obviously completely legitimate.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, then just sitting it out, that's a fine thing to do. I have no problem with protests. I have no problem whatsoever as long as they don't turn violent. I mean, I think there's a lot of ways you could, break down certain things like the Women's March, but the fact that there was that much protest and nothing went wrong, to me, that's one of the most wild things.
It's really impressive, actually, isn't it? And the fact that the people in the black masks are called Antifa. They call themselves Antifa. So I don't know if you know. What surprised me is that they didn't turn up for any of that, because they are the troublemakers, really.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised the women's protest went. The women's march went off without a hitch. That was the most surprising thing I'd heard all year.
A lot of people are saying it wasn't violent, but it did have a few cases, like where a girl had her hair set on fire.
Oh, I saw that. That was the women's march?
Yeah, and it was a reporter from Rebel Media who had a guy punching. Well, she claims she got punched in the face, but I don't know if the guy just hit her camera or whatnot. But the interesting thing is that no one around her jumped into her defense. Like those people were at the women's march. A woman march is being assaulted, and
if you're talking about the same thing that I believe that you're talking about, that wasn't at the women's march. That was at the inauguration during that like 2 blocks or 3 blocks of chaos.
Are you talking about Lauren Southern?
Yeah, Lauren Southern.
Lauren Southern.
Women's march?
Her hair wasn't set on fire.
It was a different. No, hang on, guys. Phil's right. There was an event at the inauguration where the woman was like just stood right behind her.
Yeah. Well, that happened, but it wasn't to Lauren Southern. The hair setting on fire. But
if I may, it doesn't surprise me at all that the Women's March came off as nonviolent, because I believe that people are genuinely good. I think even the most extreme of us, in 90% of cases, most extreme Americans especially, I think we are generally good people, and we believe in nonviolence. We believe in not harming other people. We just want to get our point across. So it never surprises me. What surprises me is that we can get a protest like we got at Berkeley because they don't want Milo to even speak. And look, I can't. There's so few things in the world that I see eye to eye with Milo on. And that's fine, but I would never want to prevent him from speaking to the people who are interested in hearing what he has to say. And I'm glad to listen to him speak, because for me,
Voting hatred, Boogie.
what's the quote? An educated mind can entertain an idea without accepting it. That is the idea of education. The idea of education is to see opposing viewpoints and then through considering those opposing viewpoints, become confident in your own. That is
those
the
happen to
point.
be. That is what Western values are. Consequently, but we've forgotten them somewhere along the way.
And anybody who thought they did themselves a favor and trying to keep Milo from speaking on UC Berkeley, he could have spoke at Berkeley, and then it would have been a footnote on a page 3 of a newspaper somewhere.
It wouldn't even have, his book sales went up 15,000% because of that.
And now those people have got him on Bill Maher. You slingshotted him onto the Bill Maher show. Congratulations.
And you've got Bill Maher defending him.
And I love
in his defense now.
And I love protest. I have no problem with protest. Sit in a circle on a street corner, sing Kumbaya, and jerk each other off all you want. I think that's a great way to spend your time. You want to boycott my channel, you want to boycott Starbucks, you want to boycott whatever you want. I think that's a great use of your time. Do that. If it gives you a feel good, do it. The moment that you become violent, fuck you with a rake. The moment you become violent, you've lost me, and you can.
It's not just Milo that doesn't get to speak. It's even feminists that don't have 100% of the feminist ideology. There was this feminist that Sargon talked about, who she didn't fall in line with the trans issues. And
there have been multiple. That's Jermaine Greer. She's a trans exclusionary radical feminist. But there have also been others who aren't. Like what's their name? Kate Smurthwaite. She got deplatformed because she had an incorrect opinion. I can't remember exactly what it was. And then you have like the vagina monologues, like the quintessential feminist play that got deplatformed for being trans exclusionary because not all women have vaginas.
Can you imagine?
I'm not making that up. I swear to you, if you Google it, you will find it, and you'll be like, "This is ridiculous."
It's ridiculous. Look, if you want to look at the breakdown in the greater culture, look at our country right now versus, say, South Korea. Remember when they wanted to impeach their leader for corruption? They just all got out there, orderly, had a candle each. Within like a week, she was impeached.
Yeah.
Step down. I mean, it's the greater culture that's fucked up. We can't agree on fucking up, down, left, right. Jesus.
This is the thing. I did a video and I was like, look, basically, because there's this Justice Democrats thing going on at the moment that is basically, and it's surprisingly large. It's well over 100,000 people supporting it now. Just trying to get like progressive non-corporate candidates into the Democratic Party. And I completely forgot where I was going with this because something distracted me. Fuck. What was I going to say?
Well, hey, let me just say I don't want to kill the conversation. I got to hop off for a meeting, but it's been good chatting with you guys.
Dude, thanks
nice to meet you in the weirdest possible way, Phil.
Yeah,
definitely. Have a good one, guys.
I think I speak for a lot of people by saying thanks for being an objective voice, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate that integrity. I think a lot of people do, and I think that I would be remiss if I didn't thank you for being a decent source of news.
Well, thank you very much. I'll just keep in mind I'm going to stumble through it like everyone else, but I'll try. Have a good one, guys.
You too, man. Take care.
Right.
In fact, I'm just going to go get a cup of tea. So talk about.
Is he gone? Can I now say?
Get a fucking cup of tea. Yeah,
can I say he's just the best motherfucker? Can I just say he is the best motherfucker on the planet? If the people that are watching the stream do not watch a show on the daily, you are making a big fucking mistake.
Yeah, he's actually a trustworthy source. That's I can't think of a better accolade at this point.
Phil has always been really objective. Actually, it's funny. I think in the old days, I remember he was kind of like inject his opinion a little bit, and that was fun. But like these days, objectivity is so scarce that he's become objective, like just purely like seen as an objective voice of reason. Not that he wasn't before or anything like that. I just mean before. I remember he would be like, "Here's what I think about this." I don't know. Maybe he still does that. I know people see him as a. Huh?
He will do that at the end of an episode. He'll be like, "Here's the one side of it. Here's the other side of it. Here's the factual side of it. Here's what I fucking think. Now I want to know what you think."
Yeah, I guess he actually always did that. He always did that. Actually, yeah, you're right.
He has like a very positive comment section in which people have like civil and respectful discourse. I can't believe that's a thing, but on YouTube of all places. But there it is.
Yeah. It's funny actually. Having this conversation has made me consider how, I wouldn't say radical I've become, but just like there are certain things where I'm like, flip the off switches here. Don't care anymore. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. I know you're wrong. Like, I never used to be like that, but that's how I'm getting, because it's just like, I've heard you out. You're just wrong. It's like, yeah, go on.
Did any of your sponsors contacted you, John?
I probably shouldn't talk about that, but let's just say it's not easy doing what I do in this climate. Like me. No, it's not. It doesn't do me any favors. But I'm not going to talk about it publicly.
No, because I'm thinking that's why a lot of people don't speak up.
It is why.
Especially if you're like a big person, you know, you have like a business out of YouTube, and you probably have sponsors and whatnot. If you speak out, I pretty much think that they will go for your income right away.
It's two things. One, a lot of entertainers aren't studied in this. That's fine. They're entertainers. They don't need to be. I just happen to be a little bit. And the other thing is, they don't want to. If they do know it better, they don't want to lose their sponsors. I mean, you can count how many conservative, quote unquote, conservative entertainers there are in Hollywood. There aren't very many.
That is true. That is true.
So, and there's nothing wrong with not knowing about this stuff. I mean, just whatever. Not everybody needs to study politics and history, but it's just something I happen to care about. I think that's how this got this far. Like, let's just say, like, I remember like back when Ben and Jerry's was like, Ben and Jerry's endorses Black Lives Matter. I'm like, really? Do you actually? Or are you just trying to feed me to the alligators before they get to you? Or like, what are you like? They all had to like kowtow to this social justice ideology one by one. I don't know. That's how we got here. People being too afraid to just be like, this is bullshit. I see bullshit when I see it.
The thing about it is that it is currently being sold. It is what's currently being marketed. And as soon as you convince these corporate interest groups that this kind of behavior and this kind of stuff is not really marketable and that people don't really buy into it, it dies.
Right. No, it is dying, I think.
Like when we go back to like, do you remember that Cheerios commercial in which they had like a mixed race family? And like they got a lot of shit for that. Like that's the kind of stuff that I like applaud. Obviously, I love that. That's great. Like I show a mixed race family on TV. It's 2012, right? Like there's nothing. I can't really get upset about it. No one should get upset about it. And the people that do probably deserve to get a little upset about it. That's okay, right? But like when Starbucks virtue signals, I guess is a phrase somebody just used on me on Twitter. I look it up, so I guess that is probably a phrase that I should use here.
You never used virtue signal before today?
I guess I read it before, but I don't. It was never a part of my vocabulary.
Your life will never be the same.
Is there really? The guy said I'm disgusting to watch because all I'm doing is virtue signaling and wanting people to like me. And here's the thing: yes, please like me. Please like me.
Listen, virtue signaling.
Like me, but
virtue signaling is when you. Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. Virtue signaling is when you basically say something to make yourself look good. Comes at a very cheap cost to you to say like, I care about all Muslims, but you don't actually mean it. You're not actually going to go.
It's like putting the rainbow flag on Facebook when all your friends are okay with gay people, right?
Yeah, so you know, so they know you're one of the good ones. You're one of the.
If you want to show that you care about gay people, go to some bikers that have like swastika tattoos and talk to them about gay tolerance and shit, and then I'll appreciate it. It's like, whoa, that's really brave. Yeah, what you did there. Wow. But when you're on Facebook and everyone you know likes gay people and you just put your avatar with the rainbow flag, it's like, what? And you call yourself courageous and brave and stunning. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?